Jordan Brand is a time machine. That's the whole business model. Every year, shoes from 1988, 1995, 1997 come back to shelves and sell out like it's the first time. The Obsidian 12 sat untouched for 15 years, and the machine still went back for it. Given enough time, everything returns. Except the shoes in this video. Entire models. Entire years. Colorways. Michael Jordan himself wore in real games. The machine has had 2 decades to bring them back. These are the Air Jordans that got discontinued and never came back. And once you see which ones they are, you'll understand the rule. The retro calendar is Jordan Brand's official memory. This is the list of what it chose to forget. How the machine decides. To understand why these shoes vanished, you need a minute on how the retro machine actually started, because the machine itself almost died at birth. In 1994, with Jordan retired and swinging at minor league curveballs, Nike re-released the Jordan 1, 2, and 3. The thinking was obvious. He's gone. Sell the memories. It flopped. Badly. Pairs sat on shelves for weeks and slid into clearance. Collectors from that era still tell the story of buying Jordan 2s at Sports Authority for $19.99, and white cement 3s sitting untouched for weeks after launch. The past, it turned out, wasn't automatically for sale. Nostalgia needed time to ferment, and in 1994, the wound of his retirement was too fresh to monetize. Then the 4s and 5s got reissued, something clicked in the culture, and retro became the most profitable word in footwear. Old became new. Kids who couldn't afford the originals grew into adults who could. Every great colorway came back, then came back again, then came back remastered with better leather and a bigger price tag. The machine got so thorough that waiting became the whole game. The Obsidian 12, an original 1997 colorway, and the only OG 12 of the first 5 that Jordan never wore on court, finally returned in 2012 after 15 years in the vault. 15 years. And the machine still remembered, still went back, still sold it out. That's the baseline that makes everything in this video strange. The machine is patient. The machine is greedy. The machine forgets nothing, unless it decides to, which means every shoe from here forward isn't a gap in the schedule or an oversight in some spreadsheet. It's a decision, renewed annually, for 20 years. The 4 erased years. 2009 to 2012. Start with the biggest deletion in brand history. Ikvar's already 4 consecutive flagship models that have essentially been wiped from the official record. From 2009 to 2012, Jordan Brand dropped the numbers entirely and named its flagships after the year. The Air Jordan 2009, 2010, 2011, and 2012. On paper, these are models 24 through 27 of the most famous shoe line ever made. In practice, they're ghosts. And here's the thing, they weren't lazy shoes. The 2009 brought articulated propulsion technology and was built under Nike's sustainable considered ethos, with recycled rubber in the outsole. The 2010, designed by Tinker Hatfield and Mark Smith for the 25th anniversary, put a literal clear window in the side panel, meant to represent looking inside Michael Jordan's vision. The 2011 gave you interchangeable insoles, a quickness setup and an explosive setup. Choose your weapon before tip-off. The 2012 pushed it to the limit. Interchangeable booties and midsoles, 6 total configurations in a single shoe, the most customizable basketball sneaker of its era. Real engineering, real innovation, real money spent on athletes, campaigns, all-star rollouts. The retro machine's answer for over a decade now has been total silence. Retros of the 2011, non-existent. That's not my word. That's how sneaker media literally describes it. Same for its 3 siblings. No anniversary editions, no remasters, no remember when campaigns. 4 flagship Air Jordans, the literal 24, 25, 26, and 27. And the machine behaves like the line jumps straight from the 23 to the 28. Why? Because of what was happening around those shoes. This was the exact stretch when vintage pairs from the 80s and 90s were outselling the new flagships, the retro machine eating its own future. Sales figures of old Jordans overshadowed the 2009 through 2012 while they were on shelves. The brand watched its past defeat its present for 4 straight years, then quietly buried the evidence. And here's the detail that makes it a verdict rather than an accident. These four models are the only stretch of the entire numbered line treated this way. Everything before them gets celebrated on anniversaries. The year-named models get nothing, because retroing them wouldn't just mean reselling old shoes. It would mean commemorating the years the flagship lost to its own history. No brand throws a parade for its surrender. The skipped models. Now the individual exiles. Numbered models that kept their numbers and still never came back. The Air Jordan 21, 2006. This one genuinely puzzles the people who've actually worn it. Ask anyone who hooped in the 21 and you hear the same thing. It's one of the most comfortable Jordans of its decade. Its independent podular suspension system let you open the heel and swap cushioning pods to match your playing style. A lighter, more responsive setup for guards, more impact protection for bigs. It was the first time Jordan Brand ever did that. It was also the last. The design was deliberately clean and dressed down after the monumental laser-etched 20, a shoe that whispered after a shoe that shouted. Dwyane Wade wore it on court before he had a signature line of his own. And the machine has never touched it. Not one retro, not one anniversary nod. The most customizable Jordan of the 2000s has been left standing exactly where 2006 put it, and the collectors who love it are still asking why. The Air Jordan 22, 2007. The F-22 Raptor shoe. Sharp geometric lines pulled from a fighter jet, a customizable cushioning system, and the first titanium shank plate in basketball history. That's not marketing fluff. It's a legitimate milestone in performance footwear that materials engineers still reference. Great fit, clean look, no explanation for the silence. But the explanation is in the calendar. The 22 launched in 2007, the exact year the retro boom went supersonic. It spent its release window competing against the nostalgia of shoes that already meant something to people and lost. And now the same nostalgia machine that killed it at retail won't resurrect it. The 22 lost twice to the same opponent, once as a new shoe, and every year since as a memory. The Air Jordan 19, 2004. The snake skeleton shoe, overlapping Tech Flex panels modeled on biomechanics, the most polarizing design of its era. It matters here for one reason above all. It was the first flagship of the post-Jordan age, the first Air Jordan design from day one, knowing Michael Jordan would never wear it in a game. And to this day, it has never had a proper retro run. The 19 is the boundary marker. On one side of it, every model eventually gets its flowers. On the other side, the machine starts choosing. Apparently, the first chapter written without the hero is the first chapter not worth retelling. And the contrast that proves the whole pattern. The Air Jordan 20. The direct next-door neighbor of the 21 and 22, from the same era, the same shelf, the same commercial struggles, did come back. One anniversary lap in 2015. Why the 20 and not the others? Because the 20 had a story the brand wanted to retell. That laser-etched strap carrying Michael Jordan's entire career in imagery, a design document about the legend himself. It got its single retro sold to the collectors who understood it, and went back in the vault. Its neighbors, better to hoop in, arguably better designs, didn't even get that. Same era, different verdicts. The difference was never quality. It was narrative. Hold on to that because Act 4 makes it undeniable. The famous shoes with missing pieces. Here's where it gets stranger. Because the machine's forgetting isn't just wholesale. Even the models that did come back left their most important colorways behind. Permanently. And when you see which colorways, the pattern stops being subtle. The Ginger Air Jordan 16. Sit with this one for a second. When Michael Jordan announced his second comeback in 2001, the Ginger 16 is a colorway he actually wore. Actual Michael Jordan. An actual return. This actual shoe. By every rule of the retro machine, that should make it untouchable canon. The machine has built entire December campaigns on thinner connections, then MJ wore it. The 16 as a model has seen retros. The Ginger has never come back. A retro sample even surfaced in 2012. Collectors saw the photos, held their breath, waited for a date, and it died in the vault. If you watched our unreleased video, you already know that pair. It's one of the only shoes that lives in both graveyards. Sampled for return, then declined. The colorway with the most Michael Jordan in it is the one the machine keeps skipping. The College Blue Air Jordan 17. The shoe of the second comeback, the pair MJ wore most nights of his first Wizards season. It has never been retroed. Dead stock pairs from 2002 are drying up year after year. Collectors track the shrinking supply out loud, and the machine just watches it happen. The 17 model has returned in other forms. The comeback colorway hasn't. The Washington chapter stays unretold, right down to the palette. The Columbia Air Jordan 15. Released in 2000, missing ever since. A quarter century and counting. And you can't call it model hatred because the 15 itself got forgiven. The Stealth Black original has been re-released multiple times. The Obsidian got a retro. New colorways have appeared. The model came back. The Columbia didn't. When a brand retros a shoe repeatedly while stepping around one specific colorway for 25 years, that's not scheduling. That's curation. The OG Air Jordan 18. The shoe from Michael Jordan's final NBA game, April 16, 2003. The last shoes he ever wore on an NBA floor. And sneaker media's own words about its original colorway, skipped over on multiple occasions. Read that phrasing carefully. Not forgotten, skipped, considered, passed on. Considered again, passed on again. The literal last shoe of the greatest career in basketball history keeps losing the annual vote to lower stakes releases. Now step back and look at all four together. These aren't random casualties. The Ginger 16, the College Blue 17, the OG 18, that's the Washington era, start to finish. The Columbia 15, the first shoe of the post-dynasty wilderness. Every missing piece comes from the same two chapters. The machine doesn't just remember selectively, it remembers editorially. And the Washington years are the paragraphs it keeps deleting from its own autobiography. The verdict. So line it all up. 4 erased years, 3 exiled models. The comeback colorways of the greatest player ever. Meanwhile, the same machine waits 15 years on a 1997 colorway, brings it back anyway, and calls it a holiday release. The rule is now impossible to miss. Nothing on this list was forgotten. Everything on this list was declined. The retro calendar is Jordan Brand's official memory. A story it republishes every single year about what mattered and what didn't. The first 14 shoes are scripture. They return eternally. And these shoes, the experiments, the transition years, the Washington chapters, are the pages the brand quietly tore out. Because bringing them back wouldn't just mean manufacturing old designs, or losing to his own highlight reel. And no brand built on mythology voluntarily reopens the chapters that complicate the myth. If you followed this channel's Hidden Jordan series, you now have the complete map. The Shadow Catalog, shoes made for players, never for you. The Vault, shoes finished and killed before release. And now the Forgotten, shoes that lived, sold, and got erased afterward. 3 different graveyards, one identical rule deciding who ends up in them. The story comes first, always has, always will. And one honest buying note before the end, because this list carries a silver lining most people miss. Shoes the machine refuses to retro are shoes whose original pairs only get scarcer. There is no restock coming. The 21, the 22, the College Blue 17, the Columbia 15. Nobody is reprinting these. If any shoe in this video means something to you, understand what you're looking at. A fixed supply meeting a slowly growing recognition. The machine's forgetting is the collector's opportunity. Just inspect thoroughly. 20-year-old polyurethane doesn't forgive. And on shoes this old, condition is most of the value. Every December, the machine opens the vault and brings something back. Lines form, servers crash. A shoe from before you were born sells out in minutes. The past is curated. For every colorway that returns to a hero's welcome, there's a 21 sitting in 2006, a Ginger 16 sitting in 2001. The machine could bring any of them back tomorrow. The molds exist. The demand arguments exist. It has chosen not to bow every year for 20 years straight. Remembering is a choice. So is this. And somewhere in Beaverton, once a year, someone looks at this exact list and declines it again.